All right, this is the heart of the program. This is where the rubber really meets the road. You've taken some time now to understand the mindsets you need to have. You've taken some time to understand how businesses work. Now it's time to learn how to actually write, how to actually create words that inspire action, that earn you money and earn your clients money. This is not going to come to you overnight. You're going to learn the basics over this next few days or weeks or however long it takes you to go through these videos, but you're not going to pop out the other side perfect and amazing copywriters that can generate thousands and thousands of dollars from the sky. But what you are going to learn is the foundations and how to learn this skill over time. It's like fighting, right? You don't show up for a beginner class and then walk out ready for the UFC. You have to put in the reps, you have to put in the practice. And thankfully, I'm going to teach you how to do that. So it really is up to you to decide how committed you are to this process. If you really, truly want a high value skill, something that is going to pay you forever, no matter what the market does, no matter what businesses you partner with, no matter what businesses you launch in the future, whether you go the agency route or wherever, if you want that skill, if you want to understand human persuasion and how to write for influence, you're going to have to put in the time and effort. And thankfully, I've made it as simple and straightforward for you as possible. I'm going to give you all the fundamentals you need to know so that you can come out the other side ready to start writing and within a few short weeks or months be completely competent and ready to create amazing results for your clients. So I'm going to teach you how to write everything that exists, all those different funnels we looked at, all those different ways of generating and creating attention. I'm going to teach you how to write all of that. I'm not going to teach you how to use every individual tiny platform. Sure, I'll show you how to create landing pages and emails and stuff like that, but I'm not going to teach you how to, set up this page builder or that page builder. There's a million different platforms. And honestly, you only really need to learn them once you land a client. Once you land a client, they'll already have an email marketing system or they'll have a page builder and you'll just get access to that and build that if that's something you negotiate with them. I'm going to show you how to get clients and all that stuff in step 3. But for now, just understand as you're going through this process and you ask yourself, am I going to have to be the one who actually makes the Facebook ads, or am I going to have to be the one who actually has to design the pictures on the website? Usually not. But if you do end up doing that, you'll simply get access to their existing accounts. You'll learn whatever they have. All those platforms are really easy to learn. They've designed them to be easy to learn. They have really cool step-by-step tutorials. It's never taken me more than 5 to 10 minutes to learn how to use a new platform if any of the clients I've ever worked with in the past. So don't super worry about what platform and how to do this and that. That's all going to be something you can very easily figure out on your own. And I'm always there. The other students are always there in the campus as you go through to help you if you have questions. So that's how this works. Most of your work is going to be done in Google Docs, which I'm going to explain in the next video how to use Google Docs like an intelligent human being. Like I said in the last video, most of the work you're going to do as a copywriter is going to be in Google Docs, just writing in a Google document. But it's cool because it's really easy to share Google documents so people can comment on them, collaborate with you, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to get really good at using Google Docs. Whenever you do share a document for review for your fellow students or anything like that, make sure you turn on the right access. Make sure you share with comment access if you want people to be able to comment on it. If you want people to be able to edit the actual words on the paper, maybe you're working with a client, you want to make sure you have edit access. This sounds like basic stuff. Google has a bunch of stuff. If you don't know how to actually share, just go into Google and search how to share a Google Doc, and it'll show you exactly how to do it. But just out of courtesy, when you share Google Docs inside of the campus, make sure that you have your settings dialed in right so that other students can actually help you. So make sure that they can view it and make sure they at least can comment on it if you want help or feedback from your fellow students. So AI has started to play a huge part in copywriting, and I'm going to show you guys the ins and outs of how to use AI in conjunction with all this course. But first, I'm going to teach you the basic principles of human persuasion, how to grab attention, how to invoke emotions, how to get people to purchase. I'm going to teach you how to write everything by hand first, and here's why. AI is an extremely average copywriter. At best, if you're just an unsophisticated person that doesn't understand the intricacies of human persuasion and copywriting, you sit down to use ChatGPT to write copy, it will write very average copy that gets below average results, honestly. if you want to use copy or if you want to use AI effectively, you have to know how to drive it effectively, which means you need to know how copy is supposed to work on a fundamental human level. So over the next few days and weeks, as you practice this part of this course and develop these skills, you will develop the ability that will allow you to drive or use AI better than the other person. It's like if you have a race car or two race cars and they're identical in every single way. And in this example, the AI, ChatGPT, or any other tools are like these AI tools, right? If you put a race car driver in one and just an average person in another, and you let them try and drive on the same track, the race car driver is going to win no matter what, because he knows how to drive the car better. It's the same thing with AI. It really comes down to who is driving the AI and how well they understand people, how well they understand influence, and how well they understand writing. And I'm going to teach you step by step how to develop that skill so then you can turn around and use AI to crush it. I have a separate course inside of courses that show you how to use AI as a copywriter, and you'll be able to use that. But for now, focus on learning how to write effectively as a human being, because it will give you a massive advantage over everyone else using AI when it comes time for you to start using ChatGPT or Copy AI or Jasper in the later modules. All right, so the first thing you need to understand about writing when it comes to copywriting, I'm not talking about writing for fun like fiction or stuff like that. I'm talking about writing, copywriting, is that it is writing with a purpose. You have a defined purpose. Every time you sit down to create any piece of copy, no matter where it is on the funnel, there is some purpose. There's some reason you're putting those words together. There's some action you want your reader to take. And all of your writing has to be geared towards that objective. This isn't something where you just kind of follow some easy steps or check off some boxes or, write a boring essay. This is designed to create an effect in the reader's mind. So there are a few questions you need to ask yourself before you get started and you sit down and actually write. And the first one is you need to ask yourself, are you talking to? Who is reading this copy? Then you need to ask yourself, where are they now? Where are they emotionally? Where are they mentally? What problems are they dealing with? What are their challenges? What are their dreams? I'm going to give you a lot of information on how to figure that out, but you need to know where they are now. And then you need to ask yourself, okay, at the end of this little piece of copy, at the end of this sales page, this ad, this email, or whatever piece of copy you're writing, what do I want them to do? What actions do I want them to take? What is the objective? So who am I talking to? Where are they now? What objective do I want to achieve with them? And then you need to ask yourself, okay, if this is where they start and this is where they end, what are the steps they need to experience? What do they need to think? What do they need to hear? What do they need to imagine? What do they need to believe in order to take this defined action? And you plan out all those things, and then you write the words in the middle so that someone plops on that sales page, ad, or whatever piece of copy you're writing, and they experience all those emotions and thoughts and feelings, and then they decide to take the action you want them to take. That is copywriting in a nutshell. Now, over the next few videos, over the next few modules, I'm going to show you how to do each and every step along this pattern, how to figure out who you're talking to, how to figure out where they are now, how to figure out where they need to go, and give you a giant, huge copywriting toolbox of different tactics and tools and turns of phrase and frameworks and methodologies you can use to get them from where they are now to where you want them to go. And it's a fun process, and I'm excited to guide you guys through this and teach you how to approach copywriting this way. So the first question, who am I talking to? This matters so very much when you're sitting down to do your copywriting, because you want to make sure that your writing can match up to them and impact them on a deep level. In this world, whoever can impact the reader the most wins. They're going to have a competitive advantage. And the more detailed you can be about the type of people that you're helping, the more narrow you can define your target market, the type of people, their desires, their life situations, their values, and all that stuff. And I'm going to give you a whole long list of how to define this and come up with this stuff. But for now, just understand in general, the more you can define and narrow the type of people that you're talking to and define your target market, the deeper you'll be able to impact them, the closer you'll be able to tailor your words to their internal and mental representations, the better you'll be able to build a relationship with them, and the greater you'll be able to impact them overall and help them actually make change. It's really important that you keep this in mind. If you just sit down and write to a general vague audience, you're going to impact people on a very superficial level. But if you can pick a narrow and defined target audience, you can tailor your words to match them, and you can impact them and create words that connect with their innermost thoughts and feelings in a way that it really truly inspires them. And also, if you try and write to like a different target market than your actual target market, let's say you're a fitness trainer, and if you pick the target market of, let's say, 55-year-old women who are trying to get in shape, you're going to talk to them a lot differently than if your target market is 20-something-year-old young men, right? The game is different. They have different desires. They have different needs. So before you start writing, you need to make sure you figured out and you've decided who you're talking to. Most businesses will pick, in that last example, most businesses will pick one or the other. They won't really talk to both. So you need to determine before you write it all, who am I talking to? Who's my target market? What do they care about? What are their values? What are their desires? What are their fears? How do they evaluate their decisions? You need to understand that and have that in your mind as you write so you can tailor everything to them. And I'm going to show you how to do that. An important thing to understand and to figure out at this first question, who am I talking to and where are they? You need to understand what level of awareness they have and what level of sophistication they have. And when I say what level of awareness they have, I mean, most people go through the world and they either know about their problems or they don't, right? They know that they have a problem that's bugging them, or they don't. They don't know about the specific problem they're running into. If they don't know about their problem, then you're gonna bring your attention. That's your starting point. That's where they are. They are at the point where they don't know about their problem yet. You can help them find out about it and then lead them all the way down to the product, right? A lot of people know what their problems are, know what their frustrations are, and even what their roadblocks are, but they don't know the solution, like the actual way to solve it. They don't know the right way to figure that out. Now, if that's the case, you're going to probably start talking to them. You're going to make sure that they know that you understand their problem, and you're going to recommend a solution, and you're going to take them from the solution all the way down to the product. Now, some people are product aware too. They know about your product, and they're gonna be at a different position. You're gonna have, that's their starting point. Let's say you have a sales page or an email or something that goes out to someone who already knows about your product. Well, the way you talk about them is gonna be way different than if you're talking about someone who's never heard of you before, right? You need to understand where they are in your funnel, how aware they are of the problems they're facing, how aware they are what the answer is to their problems, how aware they are of the product that you have, because a lot of that is going to influence how you speak to them, where you start the conversation. And we'll talk about how to do that later when we start talking about headlines and writing specific pieces of copy. But for now, when you sit down to write a piece of copy or think about copying, you need to understand the importance of knowing where they are in the awareness level. Do they know about the problem? Do they know about the solution? Do they know about your product? And whatever the answer is going to determine a lot about how you write. Now, another thing you need to understand is their sophistication level. If they've been in this market for a long time, let's say they're a person and they've been worried about their fitness for a long time, they're going to have a certain level of sophistication. They're going to understand a lot of the details about how different businesses work. They might have tried a lot of different products in the past. If they're a very sophisticated market, if they understand the details and the science and the explanation behind a lot of different previous products, you're going to have to enter the conversation at a slightly different level with them. You have to take them to a different place. You have to find a way to show up and be different from everything they've experienced before. Some markets aren't very sophisticated. Like the fitness market is a very sophisticated market. Everybody knows everything about that market. There are other markets out there that are kind of new. They're solving new problems, or they're solving problems, and there are people who are entering that market and they've never experienced it before. It's their first time trying to figure out their fitness, for example, and they're at a lower level of sophistication, and you can focus the conversation on other elements. But you need to understand when you sit down to write and you're trying to figure out kind of where they are, you need to understand where they fall in this awareness spectrum, and also where they fall in the sophistication spectrum. Is it a sophisticated market? Is it not sophisticated market? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? Are they product aware? You need to understand and define these things when you sit down before you write a single word of copy. All right, so once we kind of have a general understanding of who we're talking to and kind of where they are on this awareness and sophistication spectrum, we need to figure out more about where they are emotionally, where they are mentally, what their desires are, what their fears are. We need to understand this on a fundamental level. We need to understand everything from that intro I gave you in the Business 101. We need to understand how they talk about their dream state, how they talk about their current state, how they talk about their problems, if they've identified their problems, if they understand the solution. We need to understand as much information about our target market as possible. Now, the way to do this, there's a couple ways to go about it. The best way is if you actually have customers. So if you partner with a client and they already have a bunch of really good customers, the best way is just to talk to those customers and learn from them how what was frustrating about their previous life, what things changed, and then what's great about their current life, what they wanted back then, what they have now, all that kind of stuff. Sit down and interview them and ask them the questions I'm about to give you on this giant template here, this giant document. That's the best way. That is absolutely the best way. That is going to give you the best information possible. Now, if you don't have that, you're going to want to go online and try and find people who are oversharing. You want to try and find people online who are sharing their frustrations about where they are now or their desires about where they would like to go, who match your target market. And the best place to do that, if you don't have access to that as in you have a paying client who has a whole bunch of paying customers that you can talk to. The next best thing is to look at competitors. Go look at their competitors, look at their testimonials, their case studies on their website, look at what their customers are saying in their comment section of their YouTube channel, etc., and look and see how they are describing how those customers, how those people that are in your target market, look at how they are describing their current pains. Look at how they are describing their desires. Look at how they are describing what their frustrations are, their worldviews. That's sort of the next best thing. And then after that, if you can't find competitors, and again, after you've exhausted your competitor research, you want to then go look online. You want to go find your target market and find out where they hang out online. Is it Reddit? Is it YouTube? Is it a private Facebook group? Find places where they are online and they are oversharing information. One of my favorite places to do this is Amazon.com. You go to Amazon.com and you look at a book or a product that solves the same sort of problem that your product or service solves. And you look at the 5-star reviews and you look at the 1-star reviews. If you look at the 5-star reviews, you're going to find people talking about their success with it, where they were before, where they are now. You're going to find a lot of really cool things there. There's a lot of people that overshare inside of Amazon.com reviews and will give you all the insight you need into their current state, into their dream state. I also like looking at the 1-star reviews because the 1-star reviews will often highlight problems that are unaddressed, things that they wanted to have in their product that doesn't exist now, right? And usually it will show you new frustrations or new desires that they have that aren't currently being addressed. Now, I'm going to give you guys a document with a whole bunch of questions you can ask, and I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough of how to go out and find this stuff online. But let me emphasize the importance of doing this. If you research and finding customers online talking about this or people in your target market talking about this is absolutely crucial. If you want to impact your reader on a deep level and get them to take action, you need to enter the conversation they are already having inside of their brain. So people have a way of talking and thinking about their problems or thinking about their desires and their frustrations and what they like to have. They have a way of thinking about this already. If you can show up and use those same words, if you can show up and use that understanding of where they are to tailor your message and use that as sort of almost like material or ammunition for this fight, this communication that you're having with them, you're going to be able to impact them on a deep level. Some copywriters kind of skip the research phase and just start writing because it feels good to bang on the keyboard and put words on a Google Doc. Whenever you do that, though, your writing has no power, no impact. It doesn't connect with the people. You need to use research. You need to go through the step. It's a lengthy process. You're going to do this at the beginning of every significant work. Every time you sit down to do copy, you're going to go through a research phase. You're going to review your research. It's extremely important because this is what allows you to communicate on a deep level with your readers. And again, he who impacts the reader the most wins. All right, so this is the rough version of the market research template. I'm just going to show you how it looks and how to use it. So again, we're going to be using this to define our target market so we can make sure that we impact them on the highest level possible. So when we first start off, we need to identify kind of generally who we're talking to: men, women, what their age range is, occupation, income level, et cetera, where they're at in the world. Some of these questions are going to be applicable and some of them are going to be applicable. It's going to be up to you to use your best judgment when you answer these. Now, some of these you're going to find answers for easily. Others you're going to have to figure it out yourself. But at the end of the day, the more of this you can gather, the better your writing's going to be. So the first thing you want to start looking for is their painful current state. What are they afraid of? What are they angry about? Who are they angry at? What are their top daily frustrations? What are they embarrassed about? How does dealing with their problems make them feel about themselves? What other people in their world think about them or what do other people in their world think about them as a result of these problems? If they were to describe their problems and frustrations to a friend over dinner, what would they say exactly? Like, these are some questions to help you start thinking about how these people describe their problems. Now, you might have an idea about this, but you're really going to find the answers when you go out and do your research and look from your clients, customers, or the stuff you find online. You want to go, instead of just making up stuff in your own head or just asking ChatGPT to just make some stuff up, you want to go see what your humans, your actual target market, are saying out there in the wild. You want to find out what they're actually saying and then take that information and slap it here into this document. So again, and then you're also going to want to find out about their desirable dream state. If they can wave a magic wand of their life and change it immediately to whatever they want, what would it look like and feel like? Who do they want to impress? How would they feel about themselves if they were living their dream state? What do they secretly desire the most? And if they were to describe their dreams and desires to a friend over dinner, what would they say? These are just questions to kind of help you start thinking about this. And again, you want to find the answers out there with the customers, not just in your own brain. You also want to understand their values and beliefs. So here's some questions to help with that. What do they currently believe is true about themselves and the problems they face? Who do they blame for their current problems and frustrations, and why? Have they tried to solve the problem before and failed? Why do they think they failed in the past? How do they evaluate and decide if a solution is going to work or not? Like, what are their factors? Are they analytical, emotional, et cetera, et cetera? What factors or brands in the space do they respect, and why? Like, why do they respect this brand or this influencer or that influencer? What character traits do they value in themselves and in others? What character traits do they despise in themselves and others? What trends in the market are they aware of? What do they think about these trends? These are just to help you understand their worldview, understand how they think and how they process information, so that you can tailor your information and the words that you put inside of your copy to match those values and beliefs. And to maybe shift some of them. We might need to change some of their current beliefs about their current problem or situation, but you need to understand where they are before you can help them get there. Now, I've also made a little list here to help you guys, as you guys will be using this document a lot. You'll come up here to file, make a copy so you can have it in your own Google Drive. But you'll be using this a lot. I made a kind of a list here of places to go look for answers. Again, the first one is your client's existing customers and testimonials. That's the first and best place to go look for it. The second best place is your clients, competitors, and customers and testimonials, so you can interact with them and see what they're saying. That's the second best thing. Again, you want to look at the people who are currently buying and why. And that's the best place to go to look for. You basically want to clone those people. The other good place is if there's anybody in your life who matches this target market, who you realize, this reminds me of my Aunt Sally, or this reminds me of my good friend George. You want to, if you can, go talk to those people and ask them some of these questions, because getting them to tell you the answers is going to be way better than you trying to maybe find it online or make it up yourself. You want to go talk to people in person if possible. And then the other good place is just people oversharing their thoughts and feelings online. YouTube is great, both in the comment section of different videos, or in people sharing their journey, like, oh, this is how I lost 30 pounds in 100 days as a 50-year-old mom, or whatever, right? That's a really good place. Twitter's good. People share a lot of their experiences on Twitter, their thoughts on Twitter. Facebook groups are really good. Reddit is great. If you can find a subreddit that's kind of connected to your target market, that's a great place to go hang out and see what they're saying. Other forums, there's old school forums online that you can go through and find and see what people are saying. Amazon.com reviews, as I've mentioned, and then Yelp and Google Business / Maps reviews is really great, especially for local businesses. Go see what other people are saying like this, so you can provide really, really impactful writing for your readers. All right, so this is the rough version of the market research template. I'm just going to show you how it looks and how to use it. So Again, we're going to be using this to define our target market so we can make sure that we impact them on the highest level possible. So when we first start off, we need to identify kind of generally who we're talking to, men, women, what their age range is, then change it immediately with respect and why. Get there. Now, I've also made a little list here to help you guys as you guys will be using this document a lot. All right, so this is the rough version of the market research template. If they were to describe who do they blame for their current problems and frustration? Your own get there. Now, I've also made a little list here to help you guys as you guys will be using this document a lot. You'll come up here to file, make a copy so you can have it in your own Google Drive. But you'll be using this a lot. All right, answer. Whether actually have it in your own All right, so this is the dream so you can have it in your own. All right, so this is the rough version of the market research. All right, so we've identified who we're talking to and we understand where they are now. Now we need to sit down and define the objective that we're trying to accomplish with whatever piece of copy we're going to write. To understand this, we have to realize that there are great overarching examples of objectives that we are trying to achieve with our business. Just at a bare minimum, we're trying to grab their attention. We're trying to monetize that attention. We're trying to take people and ascend them up our value ladder. Remember the value ladder from the Business 101 lesson? Hey, we start off by just paying attention to something we say. Then maybe they opt in or follow us on social media. Then we get them to purchase a low-end product and a mid-ticket product and a high-ticket product. The purpose is of each of the pieces of copy you write is to propel people enter the value ladder and ascend up that value ladder to come in and start doing this little value exchange with you on a post level or a blog post level or a video level and ascend all the way up to buying your products, following you, opting in, et cetera, all the way up to being one of your loyal customers that buy your high ticket $10,000, $20,000 packages, right? For an example. That's the overarching example. Grab their attention, monetize that attention, ascend people up that ladder. That's your overarching goal. Now, you don't just do that magically with like one email or one Facebook ad or one video. You don't just watch some video and you're like, you know what? Yeah, right now I'm gonna subscribe, I'm gonna buy all of the product, I'm gonna opt in, I'm gonna send $20,000 to this person. That doesn't just usually happen in one fell swoop, right? Each piece, you need a whole funnel to ascend people. You need a lot of different touch points. So you remember those maps of the different types of funnels, like the lead funnels and the sales funnels and all that stuff that I showed you in the beginner 101 lessons. Yeah. Each single element, every email, landing page, Facebook ad, et cetera, is a simple single piece of copy or copywriting that has words on there with a defined objective. So maybe that Facebook ad, the only objective is to get people to stop scrolling, pay attention to that person, and then click the link to go learn more about, to go to their opt-in page, et cetera. And that's the entire objective for that time. That's like the mini objective that contributes to the giant objectives above. Maybe there's a sales page, and the entire objective of that sales page is to get someone to decide to purchase that product. Each, which is just part of the giant value ladder, is part of the monetizing attention. It's part of the big major objective. So every time you sit down to define your objective for that piece of copy, you need to ask yourself, where am I in the whole funnel? Where am I in the process? And what is the mini objective I need to focus on now that's going to contribute to these giant objectives? Once you've defined that, and it's usually not everything, it's usually just like decide to click this link or decide to purchase this product or decide to opt in here or comment on the post below. Whatever it is, it's something simple, something you can measure, but it's one mini objective that connects to everything else. So every time you sit down to write a piece of copy, once you've decided how you're going to help a business or what you need to do to grow, you need to ask yourself, okay, what is my mini objective here? What specific measurable action do I want my reader to take right now? And that's what you're going to focus on. That's what we're going to use to determine all the steps that are going to lead them to that point. All right. So once we've defined where they are and where we want to take them, then we have to start asking ourselves, what are the steps that go between where they are now and where we want to take them? If we want to get them to click on this link or buy this page, what has to happen to get them there? Now, thankfully, the steps are all pretty much the same. Now, they'll be a little bit different depending on what part of the funnel or what type of copy you write, but for the most part, there are a few simple steps that kind of have to happen always inside of the reader's mind. When you write copy, you put words and pictures and images on a page, and it triggers thoughts and experiences inside of the mind of the reader. And you need to define what they need to think and experience in order to go from where they are now to decide to take that action that you want them to take. And usually there's sort of a similar path. I call it like the persuasion cycle, this path that people kind of go through in order to make a decision like that. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to grab their attention. No matter if it's the first time they've ever seen you or the 33rd time they've seen a video or image or a piece of copy from you, you have to grab their attention. So you need to, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. Each of these steps I'm going to elaborate in great detail over the next few videos, but you need to grab their attention and get them to pay attention to the words you're saying. Then you need to trigger and amplify their desires, whether that's their pains, their fears, their dreams, their aspirations, all that stuff. You need to trigger some desire and get them, start propelling them towards action. You need to do that. Another thing that has to occur is you need to trigger and develop trust and rapport with them. They need to like the person that's talking to them. They need to believe the person that's talking to them. They need to see the person that's talking to them as someone who's credible. That needs to happen, usually during the persuasion cycle. You also need to show them the true nature of their problem and the solution to get what they want. So usually at some point, and you don't have to do this in great detail on every piece of copy you write. Maybe the first time you say, so you just simply tease this. But you need to show them that there's a specific roadblock that's keeping them from getting what they want. Again, that's causing all their pains or keeping them from getting their desires. And you need to reveal to them the solution, the thing they need to do to achieve success and connect it to the product, right? And then you need to give, and at the very end, there's a call to action. You need to ask them to take that step, that objective that you define as the objective for the copy, right? So you need to grab their attention, trigger and amplify their desire. You need to build and establish trust and rapport and authority. You need to show them the product and the solution. You need to also probably solidify their beliefs around that. You need to expand on their beliefs and solidify their beliefs so they trust you and they trust the claims that you've just made. And then you need to make a call to action. Click this link, buy this product, et cetera, whatever it happens to be. That's what I call the persuasion cycle. Everybody kind of you go through that basically in some form and with every piece of copy you write, whether it's a Facebook ad or a landing page or a sales page or a video sales letter, it doesn't really matter. Kind of those broad strokes happen in every single thing. Now I'm going to teach you how to do each of those elements and achieve each of those effects inside of the mind of the reader over the next few videos. All right, so one of the first things you have to do as a copywriter is you have to grab the person's attention. Now, not only do you have to do this at the very, very beginning, right? Like when you're trying to get them to find out about your company from the very, very beginning out there in the wild, but you need to do it every step along the way, right? That's the first battle you have to win. You have to first get their attention. And then as you seek to monetize their attention, you have to keep getting their attention the entire way, because if they lose interest or they stop paying attention and they go back to their TikTok videos, you're out of luck. And we live in a world where attention is so hyper competitive. Every time someone decides to pay attention to your copy, they're deciding to not at the same time pay attention to that TikTok video or any number of things that are calling their attention, that video game, et cetera, et cetera. There is always a battle for people's attention, and you need to make sure that your copy, the words that you put or the videos or whatever you're putting in front of the reader is the most interesting thing to them in the world right now. In order to do that, you need to understand how attention works on a fundamental level. Our brain, we choose to focus on things based on very basic evolutionary drivers. For the longest time, humans, we lived in like a wild world where there were threats, there were things that were trying to eat us. We were desperately trying to get enough calories to survive. We're trying to get together in tribes and reproduce. Like that was it. That was life, and it was difficult. And it was a very hyper competitive situation. If you messed up, oops, gobbled up by a saber-toothed tiger, you're gone. Or, oh, you didn't get that food, you all die, you don't reproduce. So over time, humans became extremely efficient with their attention. The brain doesn't like to use that prefrontal cortex very much because it takes a lot of energy. And remember, calories are difficult. So the brain developed sort of hardwired systems to just determine what to focus on. And there are certain things that take huge priority. And those are the main levers you want to pull in order to generate and keep their attention on your copy. Now, you can really break them down into two main categories. We are hardwired to pay attention to opportunities and to threats to ourselves. Now, opportunities, really we pay attention to things that we can eat, things that we can, maybe if you give us shelter, like look at like the basic, anything on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, anything that leads to one of those things is something that we are going to pay attention to. But specifically, it's going to be eat. It's going to have cool things. It's going to be mating. Those are going to be the major drivers. And also like social acceptance and social status are some of the main things that we're hardwired to pay attention to on a foundational survival evolutionary level. Now, on the other side, there are threats. Anything that is going to hurt our actual security, anything that's going to hurt our status in the tribe, anything that is cataclysmic, or anything that is going to massively take away anything from us. The fear of loss is almost more powerful than the desire to obtain something new. Anything that is connected to that, we are going to pay attention to. So there are a few little shortcuts for how our brain tries to identify these things, but those are the main drivers. If you can make sure that what you show up with, the first thing they see from you is connected to an opportunity or a threat on one of those foundational levels, people are going to pay attention to. Now I'm going to show you all the different examples. All right, so one of the biggest indicators of something might be an opportunity or threat is that something is new. Now, I included a visual example here. You haven't seen me wearing this weird Mongolian hat before, but it's new, it's different. You might be asking yourself, what is going on here? Anything that is new or changes in your environment immediately draws your attention because it might be an opportunity, it might be a threat. I'm going to take this off because it's incredibly warm. So let's imagine for a second you're on the savannah, early humans, right? You're out there in the wilderness and you're looking out over the savannah and you see a blade of grass move differently than everything else. You're going to immediately pay attention to it because there could be two things or three things behind that blade of grass. There could be an antelope. Well, that's wonderful, something to eat. There could be a lion, which could be trying to eat me, or there could be another human to mate with or work together with, right? Wow, look at that. Something new is going to grab your attention. We're hardwired to look for new things. And the interesting thing is, after a while, your environment starts to just kind of fade away into existence. Like right now, if you kind of pause the video and think, you're looking forward, like you're facing a certain direction. You're not really paying attention to the little details, right? Like there's a window over there, and I'm not paying attention to what's outside of that. It's been the same for a very, very long period of time. Nothing has changed out there. If all of a sudden something swooped by the window, I would pay attention because there's something new. Eventually, things sort of fade to irrelevance, and we don't really pay attention to them. This is extremely important in copywriting. If someone is on, let's say, for example, a social media feed, and they're scrolling through and all the images kind of look the same, if you show up and you look exactly the same as the rest of the feed, they're not really going to pay attention. They're just going to continue to scroll. But if you show up with something like with a Mongolian hat, for example, or a bright red image, something that's drastically different from a color or a drastically visually different example, they're going to pay attention to it. If the words that you're using are different, if they're formatted different, that difference from the rest is something that your brain automatically hones in on because they say, something's different here. Maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe there's a threat. So it's really important to show up and be different than everything else. Another element that's related to this is the idea of movement. Anytime the human brain sees movement, we latch onto it, right? Again, think of the savannah. We were designed to track lions, antelopes, and other human beings. Human beings, we are designed, we focus on movement. You know, if there's an avalanche coming down at you, your brain hyper recognizes because of the movement, not because there's snow on the side of the mountain, but because it's rushing at you. Change and visual movement is extremely powerful, helping you grab attention. Now, I've talked about things here that are very related to images and videos, which might sound like it's outside of copywriting, which we focus on words, but it's an element that you can use to grab attention. Now, these are things you're going to use on that very first phase when you grab attention, at the beginning of your emails, sales pages, Facebook ads, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also stuff you need to drip every so often into your content so that they reinvest their attention. If you kind of get into a boring, monotonous flow, they're going to eventually leave because it's going to start to get boring. But if every so often you mix things up, you interrupt the pattern with something new, a new image or a new text, or you insert a new opportunity or threat, it's going to keep them engaged because that newness factor is going to be there. So when you're sitting down to control attention, you need to understand the importance of being new and the like different visually and actually different from everything else. Like not just on a visual level, but on like a content level, you need to be different. That's how you're going to get more attention. And you also need to look at dynamic, things that move, things that change. Static things don't grab as much attention as dynamic things. So those are some things to think about. I'm going to include some examples of really, really good visual disruptive elements that have been proven extremely effective at grabbing attention. But you need to understand this. New things that are different, things that change, and things that are dynamic are indicators that there's an opportunity and a threat, and that's what humans pay attention to. All right. So one of the biggest indicators of something might be an opportunity or threat is that something and everything else. You're going to immediately pay attention to it because there could be two things or three things behind that blade of grass. There could be an antelope. Well, that's wonderful. Something to eat. There could be a lion, which could be trying to eat me, or I said it in the previous video, but humans are very social creatures. We're wired to pay attention to opportunities and threats, but there are, again, a few shortcuts to help us find those. And one of those is paying attention to leaders, people who are very obviously the leader of a pack. Whenever we see someone who has authority, who has the physical and the other elements that show that he is a leader or she is a leader in their space, we tend to pay attention and listen to them because we are, on a human level, like humans are designed to lead and to follow. And there's an interplay between those two. But for the most part, when you're trying to capture someone's attention and guide them through and help them pay attention to you over time, it's important for them to perceive you or your business that you're partnering with, etc., as a leader. They have to see this person as the leader of the pack, because you will pay attention to the leader of the pack because he's more likely to lead you to food, shelter, mating opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. He's also the one that's going to help you avoid threats of attack and stuff like that. Humans are designed to pay attention to that because it's a shortcut to getting everything you super want. So when you're seeking to gain attention, you want to make sure that you're positioning whoever's speaking as a high status individual, as a leader of the tribe or a tribe, so that people are going to pay attention to that person. There's a lot of other elements like this. Humans, we link where we associate leaders with getting us that opportunity or that threat or avoiding that threat. And there's a lot of other things that we sort of associate with those opportunities. You look at it from like a biological level. If you're out in the desert and you look out over a desert valley and you see a long line of trees down there in the bottom of the valley, subconsciously you're like, water, I can go down there and survive. It's a linkage to something that you want. So there's a lot of different elements that you can link to that it will connect to those, will connect with those associations. For example, supercars. People like supercars because they link to affluence, they link to security, they link to status. Those are associated ideas. You want to start looking at, okay, what opportunities or threats do I want to bring to their attention, and what elements, what images, thoughts, words, phrases, situations, etc., are linked to those elements, and how can I put them in front of this person to help them catch their attention? There's a lot of ways to link different elements together to trigger different opportunities or threats on their radar and get them to pay attention. But the leader social status is probably the most powerful one. There's a lot of other ways that you can do this, but keep in mind there's a lot of already pre-built associations in their mind to the opportunities and threats that you want to bring to their attention. Leverage those in your copy, leverage those as you write, and you're going to start to pay attention and see how other people are doing this as they seek to capture attention.
said in the previous video,